A major deal on the energy front tops your Barbados Today evening news update for Wednesday, October 10th. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Thanks for joining us. Barbados' leading petroleum company Sol has been sold to Canadian giant Parkland Fuel Corp, a marketer of petroleum products. Today, Parkland Fuel announced that it was acquiring a 75% stake in Sol, owned by local business magnate Sir Kiffin Simpson, at a cost of US $1.21 billion. The deal gives the Canadian company a strong foothold in the Caribbean oil market, with Parkland set to have access to Sol's 526 retail gas stations. Sol will retain 10% of its stake. Parkland says it will retain the Sol operating brand and key management, and added that Sol will continue to be managed from the Caribbean. The government is concerned about the growing number of sick buildings across the country. According to Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sandra Husbands, plans are afoot to correct the problem. Her comments come on the heels of the closures of the Barbados Statistical Office in Warrens and the Lester Vaughan School.
Prime Minister Motley has said that one of the priorities for her government is, one, we must have an active maintenance program for all of our government buildings. And what part of that will involve having protocols for cleaning, the appropriate chemicals or non-chemicals to use to clean the environment. One of the things I'm hoping is that we will switch from carpeting and move to tile, which actually keeps the environment a whole lot cleaner. We can always put little cups on the bottoms of the chairs to prevent scraping noise, but we definitely need to move from carpet because it is not really very healthy, especially here in the tropics for us, where you get all mold and damp and so on. So that is work that is going to be. I'm hoping that move towards maintenance will create the opportunity for some small business people to be able to get the contract actually helping maintaining the building, and that as a government we establish standards and protocols. This is what you have to operate so that they learn the best methods of keeping the buildings clean. And what that will do for Barbados as a whole is to actually reduce leave and absenteeism.
Make no mistake about it, the government's restructuring exercise will be painful. Regional economist Marla Dukaran said that the uphill task of lowering Barbados's massive debt of more than 157% of the gross domestic product, reducing the large fiscal deficit of almost 5%, and growing the reserves will impact negatively on everyone and requires the most vulnerable to be adequately protected. Painting a picture of the current state of the economy and how it compared to other countries that have experienced a restructuring program, including Greece, Grenada, and Jamaica, Dukaran warned there could be fallout for some of the most vulnerable groups.
Even though the IMF has set a minimum, they have set a floor on the amount of spending that the government will incur on social programs, meaning they can cut in other places, but they cannot cut that more than a certain floor. There is a possibility that poverty could rise because there will be cuts in other areas of spending. The problem with that is that, as you know, as a charitable organization, that is of course not a desirable outcome. Barbados is well known for its strong regionally amongst the highest, if not the highest, human development outcomes after Cuba. And we don't want to see those gains being eroded, obviously.
Commerce Minister Dwight Sutherland wants to see the establishment of a credit union bank in Barbados. He made the comments today during a courtesy call to the St. George Farmers Market Cooperative Society Limited and the Barbados Pig Farmers Marketing Cooperative Society this afternoon. Noting that the island had 54 cooperatives, Sutherland said some members have raised concern that funding is a major challenge and there was room for a credit bank, that's a credit union bank, that can offer lower interest rates. The minister urged the St. George's Farmers Marketing Cooperative to expand its business, but the cooperative's secretary, Oliver Caitlin, explained that they were restricted by space.
That is our number one big problem, space. If we had more space, we could do a lot more. We could introduce more products, and I'm quite sure farmers from the outside of the St. George area as well would be able to contribute to our products.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now, the operations of Jamaica's Norman Manley Airport is now in private hands, and government says it will be keeping a close eye on the new operator, which has a 25-year contract.
The government and the Mexican firm Grupo Aeroportuario del Pacífico, GAP, signed the agreement to manage the airport under a public-private partnership this morning. GAP, which was selected last month by the Development Bank of Jamaica, will be responsible for improving the efficiency of both landside and airside operations at NMIA during the concession period. Speaking at the concession signing ceremony this morning, Mr. Holness said government will be faithful to what it has agreed to.
Who will now be operating the Norman Manley International Airport will proceed in good faith with the agreement. But were that not to happen, God forbid, the government will follow the legal process and the regulatory process to enforce. And that is an assurance that we give to the people of Jamaica.
And further afield, powerful Hurricane Michael crashed into Florida's northwestern panhandle coast today, flooding towns, ripping up trees with 155-mile-per-hour winds and stirring up devastating storm surge. We get more in this report from Reuters Television.
The strongest hurricane to hit the Florida panhandle in recorded history arrived Wednesday, bringing punishing 155-mile-per-hour winds, flooding towns, and tearing through buildings.
Unfortunately, Hurricane Michael is a hurricane of the worst kind. There's nothing else that can be said about it.
Unlike Hurricane Florence last month, Michael strengthened as it moved toward the U.S., becoming a very dangerous Category 4 storm.
This is the worst storm that the Florida Panhandle has seen in more than 100 years.
The hurricane gaining power so quickly, many large cranes in the region couldn't be taken down in time. Authorities Wednesday morning told residents along Florida's Gulf Coast that it was too late to evacuate.
Do not leave your house.
Reuters correspondent Rod Nickel is in Panama City, Florida.
Those who are left are longtime residents who have either stayed in their homes or come to hotels. They say they just don't want to go that far from their homes. One elderly woman told me that my home is my whole being, and she didn't want to go far from it. These people have homes right on the beachfront nearby. Another person I spoke with said that 20 years ago he evacuated from here and he couldn't get back to his home for about 2 days. So the long-term residents of Panama City are hunkered down and they're going to wait this one out.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.